All right, here we go. OverDrive, off and running. TSN 1050 on the TSN app, your home smart speaker, and up on TSN 4. Bryan Hayes, my buddy, the O-Dog, Jeff O'Neill, and Jamie Noodles McLennan.
Can I start? Because I saw something today. Obviously, it's well documented. Both of you teed it off this morning, correct?
Yeah, the match. We went out early this morning. We were done early this morning.
Which was great, but Hayes decided to Instagram it almost live. Like you were giving updates like after every hole, correct?
Yeah, up on my Instagram, B Hayes on air. You can find it up there. Well documented.
And your mood swings were basically like all over the map. Like, come on, big smile, and like, okay, you got a par. And then it didn't go so well. But the way
I was flying early. The
way it finished was probably the greatest thing ever, because my understanding, and both of you can clarify, this was a draw. Correct or not? Like,
no,
where are we at?
Hang on. I gotta start from some awkwardness right off the hop. I go to unlock my bag off of my cart to throw it on his. I see a full stop sign. He goes, "Let's ride in our own carts."
Oh.
I go, okay. I thought golf was two buddies just shooting the breeze, driving around. He goes, "Let's do own carts."
Well,
I said,
professional.
What's the reasoning behind that?
A couple of reasons.
It's a first for me. I've never seen it as a two ball. He goes, "It might be faster." I said, "That's the weirdest thing I've ever seen in my life, but let's carry on."
That is true. Now, let me clarify a couple things on that. One, professional, right? It's a match, right? Secondly, I'm a music guy in the cart. I don't want to hear, the music threw me off, or there it goes. You put the music on or whatever. And, they slid us out. Our friend Danny hooked it up. Everyone was all good with it. And I'm like, we got to get out there and get rolling. Not that we wouldn't have.
No, it was all good.
But I figured you weren't quick to push back on that. If I can recall correctly, the exact reference or the exact
I was like Sheldon Keefe
was,
after the game. I was stunned. I was like, okay.
You were stunned, but then you're like, yeah, I'd rather do that. And you didn't waste too much time to fire back up.
Doesn't he have a reputation of being a little bit like Trump, hits his ball and then he's just gone anyways?
That's right. That's another thing. Then he doesn't have to come and pretend like he's looking for my ball. He can just go drive wherever he wants to drive.
He's up on the green and you're still in the fairway.
Exactly.
Like, that's it, right? Like
exactly.
So how did it go?
He shot the lights out, and the original match, he beat me 5-4. Now, I don't think I got the appropriate amount of strokes, but that's neither here nor there. He was dialed. I think he shot a 73. So he got me 5-4. We pressed the final 4 holes, and I happened to take that down. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that I won the final 4 holes.
Hang on a sec there. Hang on a sec there, guy. You understand on the first tee, the big match is worth $100.
Absolutely. I want a half
Do you understand the value what the second match was?
I totally understand. And I went to look for you, and you were already on the 407, so I couldn't find you. I went to my locker quickly. I came back out.
We'll chat tomorrow.
It was gone. But it was great. We had a great time. Beautiful weather. Course is in great shape.
And you know what? You slayed the demons on 18, because it was like one of those shots that you said has caused you problems. And Noodles, this guy, he was kind of slapping it around a little bit.
It was
today.
Ugly. I've been awful lately.
A close friend of both of ours comes out on 18, and this guy carries on. He hit a chip shot, and you would think it was Tiger at Augusta on 16. If there was a caddy, he would have done the Joey LaCava celebration.
I wanted to do the John Daly when he's walking up the fairway on, what is he, on 18 at the PGA?
Yeah,
or at the British.
Stick.
Yeah, and because Danny, our buddy Danny, he was standing there watching because he was waiting for us to come in, and he hadn't seen another shot. And again, shot 73. Like, he was as dialed in as you could. He had one bad hole. 17 got you. That's the only bad hole you had the whole day. And I was slappy. It was choppy. It was a slasher fest. It was not good. But on 18, a tough little chip, and I chiseled it into about 6 inches and 4 net 3. Took
It was the
back
chip
half.
of a
That's all I
lifetime
heard.
for you.
Yeah, it was.
But Noodles, this
That's all I
guy,
needed, with a witness.
he wonders why he slaps it around. We teed off at 8 o'clock. I was there at 7 o'clock. Like, you got to hit some sand wedges, some chips. 9-iron, 6-iron driver. This guy went to the range and hit one golf ball and then came to the first tee. And then Starter says to me, he's like, "You seen Hazy yet?" And I was like, "Yeah, I just drove by." I'm like, he goes, "He usually comes right from the locker room to the tee." I go, I'm aware of that. And like,
That's
you
Roger.
got the best
Roger's
facility
a
in
beauty.
Ontario there, and you don't even sniff it. You just drive right by it.
So you're a guy that just walks up, touches your toes once, and away you go?
I'm driving in there usually like Ace Ventura trying to track down Dan Marino, and I'm trying to get to that tee time on time. And I come burning around. That was Roger, and Roger, he said that. He's like, "I think you got a problem because you actually hit some balls, and you usually don't hit some balls. You wouldn't know it." But we had a great day. It was awesome to be out there, and it sounds like Duthie's out there, Kolyakovo, Korolnik, them in their goofy golf bags. They're out there right now, which I think should be illegal personally, but that's fine.
Well, I want to hear how that's going because I think it's J-Mac and Duthie versus
I'm sure it's the whole crew.
Coco
I'm sure
and
it's
AK.
the whole crew.
And who knows? Like, I can imagine Coco and AK, like, infighting.
Yes.
If they're yelling and screaming at each other and – like, is Carlo a good golfer? Like, have you golfed with him before?
Yeah,
he seems
like
he's
me.
probably
He's good but also bad. Like very average. And
probably
if you're
hits
on,
at 300 though.
He hits it well. Yep, he hits it well. And if he's on, he'll shoot well. If he's off, it's disgusting. And that's basically what I am as a golfer. Like you see me shoot well and play well, and you see me be awful. But anyway, it was great, and
nice.
Here we are. So there you go. The match. We got to double down. We'll hit your track next time. I'll try to bring the heat. We'll make sure the caps are appropriately slotted, and we'll go from there. But we got a big one today. We got Chris Pronger in an hour. That's a theme on the station recently, right? Because Prongs was on that Flyers team that was down 0-3 back in the day. So he was on that team, and we had Mike Richards on the morning show this morning. We had Justin Williams on our show yesterday. Everyone's trying to find some sort of inspiration.
Just
for
hanging
the Leafs,
on
right?
for dear life.
Just hanging on for dear life. That's what it is.
That's what it is. You find these, but it'll be interesting to see if all of them have the same type of storyline. It was like we all, had a conversation. Like, I know it can't be reported, but do you think that this Leafs team's had a closed-door meeting? Have they had hey, let's meet for a beer somewhere and talk about this? Like, that's the type of stuff that you hear about.
That would be the only thing worthwhile, Jamie. Guys, let's go have some lunch, have a beer, and let's just talk about things, and maybe we can rally the troops here. Some kind of hero closed-door moment or meeting. At this particular point, it's nonsense. If you want to talk amongst yourself, there's probably a meeting room for the players, a meal room. You could talk there, but to try to have some heroic closed-door meeting at this point, sorry.
Well,
and apparently the players are getting pissy, saying, "We don't care what you guys in the media say." It's like, I don't know why that. Okay, you don't care what we say, then just go out there and play then.
Well, we have the clip. Why don't we play it? Because it's not some guys. It's Mitch Marner, and Marner's been in the crosshairs more than anyone, I would suggest, and deservedly so, based on the way he's played. And this is what Mitch had to say a couple hours ago when he was asked about the white noise and everyone's opinions on the outside of the dressing room. Here's what he had to say about that.
I mean, I think I heard Austin say it, and I think we've been saying it this whole time. I mean, we don't care what you guys say. We don't listen to you guys outside of this locker room. We're just focused on ourselves and this group in here.
So here's where I have a different view on this, because I think if I read that quote and it was from basically any other player, I would have the reaction of, why are you even going down that road? A, it's not true. Like everyone, you guys have always said it. Player, you can pretend as if it doesn't get into the room. Everyone knows what people are saying. Clips are going viral. What's in the newspaper, what's online. These are young guys who are online all the time. They're sitting in their hotel rooms on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok all the time.
Yeah.
But with Marner, he's never been comfortable with the media. He's never been comfortable. He's always looked and felt uncomfortable to me. And I think this is just another example of that, where that's the cliche answer. The cliche answer is, we don't care, nothing matters. And I think that's all that is. Like, I don't even think like he went into it thinking I'm going to take a shot at the media or a shot at the fans or I'm going to get pissy today. I honestly think he drew off a cliche that he believes is the cliche answer, and that's what it was. And that's how I read Marner, and I always have. He's never given like loose, comfortable commentary at any point in his time in Toronto. He's not comfortable in front of a mic.
That's what it is. I always, and this is the wrong word, but I always feel like he's defiant towards it. Like he gets it. This is a guy who grows up here. Who knows it. His buddies are invested in it. Like, he probably hears it more than anybody. And it's unfortunate because I guarantee you this guy loves this market, loves this team, loves everything about it. And it's tough when things aren't going the way you planned because he probably wears it a lot more than other guys who either aren't from here or maybe aren't as, right in the crosshairs because Mitch is a star player. Mm-hmm. But I've always felt, and I don't know if that's the right word, like I think he comes by it honestly where he's like, I don't care. What was the comment? It's like, my dog doesn't judge me or something. Like there's
he
always
said that earlier in the year, which was strange.
Like,
again, no one was being really critical of him at that point.
But I get that word where it's defiant isn't the right word. He's just like, he doesn't want to deal with it. He's like, and that's kind of where, if I was him, just go the other way. It's like, listen, we're doing what we can here. We're not trying to have any outside influences. And like I think he's trying to articulate that, but it just comes off as a little bit, for lack of better words,
doesn't even make sense, the comment. It doesn't make sense, the comment.
Yeah.
If he doesn't care what we're saying, how does he know that we're saying negative things? Like that doesn't make sense in itself. It's just, I don't know why he went down that road today of all places. Why not just say we got to lay it all out in the ice? There's nothing much else to say. Like to say we don't care what you guys think. I mean, it's just it's a nothing comment. It's not like people are going to get bent out of shape about it.
Yeah.
But he just, I don't know why he went down that road.
Well, it doesn't help him because, naturally people are going to take that and say, I wouldn't expect this player to say that, right? I've never heard Sid say that. I don't think, this guy would say that or that guy or whatever. Like, it is a scenario where it's like, guys, you're the ones that have dug the hole. You're the ones that are 0-3. You're the ones that didn't play well the other night. Just own that. And what do you expect?
They don't ever own it, though,
but
Brian.
that's the
They're
problem.
always like, we had some looks and
fault.
we had a post and we didn't get power plays.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever heard one of them say I was terrible out there tonight.
Or look pissed off, right? Like really snap and say, I'm not doing this. Or that's not how they're wired. That's not how they're programmed. And yet, with everything that was said yesterday coming off Game 3, as you reset for Game 4, it goes right back to those core guys, right?
Yeah,
like if they have any chance of winning tomorrow night, they've got to be great. Like they've got to elevate their games, and they should feel lucky that they still have that opportunity to do that.
Yeah, I remember playing in Calgary, and I always took my cues from a guy like Iginla, who was always in the crosshairs, made the most on the team, him and Kiprusoff, but they were under the most amount of pressure. And there would be times where Iggy wouldn't score in 10 games, and it would be on the front cover of the Calgary Sun. What's wrong with Iggy? Time to trade Iggy. And he'd be in the media, but I can't wait for tomorrow's game. I'm so excited about it because I want to change the narrative. I want to be a difference maker. And I'd be staring at him going, what the hell? I'd be so mad, and I would have anxiety for him because I'm like, this guy is just taking bullets left and right. And here he is just embracing it. This is awesome, Jamie. Can't wait. Because wait till I start scoring. I'll show everybody. It was kind of a different approach that he had. But me as an athlete, I never felt like that. I never had that type of confidence where Jerome was like, you know what? It's going to turn. I can't wait for it.
Right.
And that's how he projected. Where other guys are just like, hey, I don't care about the noise. Everyone handles it differently. I'm not judging Mitch for the way it is. Bottom line is Mitch has to have a game tomorrow. And so does the rest of the guys on that team, or else we're talking Thursday about missed opportunity. That's really what it is.
Yeah, and possibly sweeping changes and who's going to have to, fall on the sword for all of that.
Right.
And that's what's facing them is they still have a chance to build out of it. But you're right. I mean, exuding confidence is always a good thing. It's like it is what separates general. Like everyone's got talent, and sure, some guys have more talent than the others. But the great players, they have more talent, and they also have more confidence, more belief. They show up every night, and they're like, I know what I'm going to do. Like I'm well aware of what I'm going to do, and I'm not sure that confidence is there in these players.
Doesn't look like it.
It's tough to say that it is prior to the game. Like and then you look at the other side of it, like Matthew Tkachuk said today, the Panthers are facing no pressure, which I don't believe, because now you're up 3-0, you're at home, you got to close.
He's been hammering the underdog thing, and we're playing with house. He's throwing out all the cliches.
Right.
He's gone back to the well a few times on that one.
And he's trying to hold on to it until they actually win the round. And then I'll bet you he'll play it probably in the next round, too. I wouldn't be surprised at all.
Well, which is fair, realistically, because if you look at every betting line, every person, including the three of us on this panel, like I had the Leafs winning in 5, thinking that like we had nobody in this world had Florida beating Boston. Like it just, they can play that card because, hey, you know what? People don't think we're for real. Like now they do have to close. There is some pressure in closing, but I mean, coming into it, I've talked to several people today, but like, yeah, I could see the Leafs coming back. Like it's that there's still thought process there where it's like, yeah, that's Florida. Man, don't worry about Florida.
Yeah, I guess that's the angle, right?
Cobb.
Is like, does Florida revert back to what we saw all year?
What do you think the chances of that happening?
I don't like the chances. No, I don't. And it's on the Leafs to force that. As much as, the Florida's not just going to magically show up and be awful tomorrow night. The Leafs have to push them down that road, right? Like, it obviously starts with one win at a time. You get one, then you make them fly up here, make them think if you win Game 5, then all bets can be off, right? Like, you got to get to Game 6 before you can even contemplate the idea of one team really gaining momentum and the other team really losing it.
Right.
Just winning tomorrow night doesn't change anything. It pushes your survival down a couple of days. Yep. But if you win Game 5, then the pressure really flips, because now Florida's going home and they're thinking, if we don't close this, we're screwed. Right? Like if you don't win the Game 6 at home and it's got to go back to 7, they could be in big trouble. And what's interesting about where the Leafs are at right now, and I think the mentality of the fan base, is there was some massive news today. Like an hour ago, it was announced Joseph Woll is starting tomorrow night. Joseph Woll is playing. And I don't think it's garnering that much of a reaction. Where imagine if the Leafs were up 2-1 and this was happening, or if they were down 2-1 and they were still in the series, this would be this would be panic-inducing.
Hey,
quite frankly.
It's not garnering a lot of attention. You know why? Because the idea of putting the other guy in there is scary as hell. That's why.
You're talking Matt Murray?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why it's
agreed.
not guarded. It's like there's basically no other option. This guy's won 2 Stanley Cups, and it just can't happen. That's right. Where it's at. That's where that decision was at.
What I'm saying is the fact that Samsonov can't go, like if you lose your starting goalie in the second round, that is as panic-inducing as anything. Exactly.
Huge.
Like that is massive if you lose your goalie out of nowhere. And that's what's happened. Like Samsonov's not playing. I would assume he doesn't play again the rest of the round if it's just a foregone conclusion. He's not playing tomorrow. Maybe he returns later on if they're still alive. But if it was like Samsonov's out and he could be out for a while and the Leafs still had a chance or people believed it, it would be breaking news, people freaking out. And I understand what you're saying in terms of those two options, but that's a different topic. And it does say something about where Matt Murray's at and I guess where the Leafs are at. The fact that he's been cleared, he's on the bench. Wall gets hurt in warm-up tomorrow night. He's got to play. But they're not even, like, it begs the question, and again, now's probably not the time because they're still playing. But if you can't even put him in this situation, what were you ever bringing him in for? Like, the whole point of bringing in Matt Murray was, well, he's got 2 cups and maybe he can get it done in the playoffs. And here's an opportunity for him to go in and possibly do something for you. And they're passing on that. And I think it's the right play. I think they made the right call. I think Joseph Woll should start. But what the hell? Why did you ever bring him in?
Dude,
what was the point of bringing him in?
Where you just
can't play him tomorrow.
The routine, it just gets to a point where it's like, I'm not going down that road anymore. Go in, play a period, somebody bumps into you, hurt, fall down, miss a month, hurt. You just get to the point where you're like, just like in a relationship when you used to get broken up with in high school, Hazy, someone says, I'm not doing it anymore.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. What, you can't put yourself
why
in
is
those
he
shoes?
the guy? Yeah, why is he the guy that
I can't.
I'm the Joseph Woll. I come in out of nowhere, and all of a sudden I'm a rock star. There's a real opportunity for Woll to launch his career here. Like, that's another thing. You look at these guys, these core 4 players, like the studs. You would think they go into tomorrow and they're like, guys, if anything, we can't let this guy be hung out to dry. Like, we got a rookie in net. Let's play for him.
Yeah. There's only one thing to do, man. And it's almost like I feel like this is just this big mashup of memories and thinking of things to say going into like Game 7 of the, like, I was just thinking of the early Sports Center hit. Like, how many different ways can you say they got to have a game? Like, we got to do some hits for Sports Center tomorrow. I have no idea. Like, what are you supposed to say? Oh, Matthews and Marner have to be better? No kidding.
Right. Everyone knows.
Oh, there's only one thing left to say, and it's show everyone, most importantly yourselves, that you can play according to the situation. And the situation was the same the last game as it's going to be tomorrow night. You're fighting for your life. And you didn't do it the last game. Can you flip the switch and actually act like you fight for your life or care about it this much? The coach made a comment after Game 2, I believe, or it might have been Game 1. You know, they would have done that, or they will do that if they're serious about winning. Well, thus far they haven't proven they're that serious about anything. So let's just see what you got. You got one game to play according to the situation because you fell miserably short the last time out.
Yeah.
What else are you going to do?
What's on the line? There's not much.
Mean,
like, they're changing the lines a bit, changing the D pairings. You know, you're rearranging the decks, like the chairs on the
Titanic,
deck of the Titanic right now.
But really, what it is, Brian, though, it's everyone to a man in that dressing room has to play better. We saw it last night. Edmonton put a stinker up. The whole team was terrible.
5-1 last night for Vegas.
But you're right. It was called 5-1 or whatever. But they played terrible. But they've got to find a way to respond, just like the Toronto Maple Leafs. If they want to continue on in this situation in the playoffs, you've got to find a way to win the game. However, if it's 7-5, if it's 2-1, whatever the game dictates and how it's going, you've got to be a part of it and scratch and claw. So there's no excuses. I mean, you know, I was laughing to myself thinking, like, what Rocky is it where Rocky's kind of jogging on the beach and Apollo's like, what's the matter with you? And screaming at him.
Rocky 3?
Is that 3? And then, like,
Rocky 3, I can't remember.
Remember when Mickey died and he was kind of out of it or
Rocky
whatever?
3, I think.
Yeah. And then, like, everyone here is
Adrian
yelling.
Was like, tell me what's wrong. And he's like, I'm scared.
Exactly. But then, you know, on the whatever I can't remember what she says, like, win. And he's like, let's
just
go win or
and then
whatever.
He's like, all right, let's go train, have a great montage.
Exactly.
And get it done.
You've got to find something to grab at here to have a game. The problem is you can't win the game in the first minute tomorrow night. You've got to
play it out.
You've got to build it up.
Chip away.
And so it'd be interesting to see how it unfolds because, you know, Florida on the other side, they might be loose and driving, but they also might be thinking, hey, we got an opportunity here, and you know, we need everyone's best to close this off because we don't want to go back to Toronto. We don't want to, you know, give any life to a team that if they get life and get some confidence could be dangerous.
Yep.
So
yeah, exactly.
Works both ways.
It absolutely does. It can swing both ways, and we'll find out tomorrow night. You mentioned the Oilers getting beat up last night. Jack Eichel had himself a game, man. Jack Eichel, he looked good. Jack Eichel was the former Adam Fantilli, I think is probably the way it's being phrased, right? It sounds like Fantilli's going to go second overall, and we know Connor Bedard where he's going now. Don't tell Columbus, but Bedard's on his way to Chicago. We'll get into that, and Ryan Rishaug will join us on what happened last night in Edmonton. We got Chris Pronger coming up. Jay's back in action in Philly. Alec Manoah on the mound against Aaron Nola. Two studs who are not off to a great start. No update on Vladdy yet. We'll keep you posted on that. And confirm or deny still to come later this afternoon. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 4. Overdrive continues. Brought to you by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score. Ryan Rishaug will join us here in a moment. Jays in Philly, Vladdy in the lineup. So that feels like a pretty significant bullet that could be dodged here if Vladdy's okay, because that was looking dicey. Missing some games over the weekend, coming off a day off. If he's not available tonight, all of a sudden, panic sets in. Is he going on the IL? Is this going to be a lingering issue? So it's all good. And without him in the lineup, they were producing a lot of runs. They were putting a lot of run production on the board down at Pitt, and they stay in Pennsylvania, day off, now in Philly tonight. I don't know if that's a great spot to have a day off, like yesterday in Philly. You only get so many on the road in baseball. I'm sure. Who knows what they got up to?
Philly's got a
great spot.
Yeah, I was going to say there's some fun there for sure.
Okay.
Down by the
The
docks.
way things move around these days, it doesn't necessarily mean Philly. Atlantic City's an hour limo ride. I mean, I don't know.
New York City is a 1-hour train ride right in there. Like there's so many things right in that area. You're right. Atlantic City, I've made it out there a few times. Like that's gritty.
I haven't done
there.
Atlantic City, man. I just think of it as such a gritty spot.
It is gritty.
Like a really gritty spot.
Yeah. It is, but there is lots of stuff to get up to there.
Yeah, that's my understanding.
You can enjoy yourself in Atlantic City for
I've
sure.
heard that. Yeah. Is that where Boardwalk Empire was set? Yeah, I guess it was
Yeah.
Atlantic City, right?
Yeah. What was
that
his
was
name?
a great show.
Yeah.
Enoch, what was Nucky Thompson?
Nucky Thompson, yeah.
Nucky
for
Thompson.
Sure.
Yeah, he was a great character. Great show. All right, Chris Pronger coming up. Again, Jay's in action tonight. We got some Robert De Niro news we got to touch on a little bit later.
I know.
That guy up to?
He's up to something, I can tell you that. He is up to something. Bob De Niro. But it got ugly for Edmonton last night. Vegas showed up. Like we said it yesterday.
Yep.
We thought Vegas would respond. I thought the Oilers would win, but Vegas, they didn't just, show up and decide, hey, we want to put forth an effort. They put a beat down on the Oilers last night.
Came to play.
And Edmonton did not. We head out to Edmonton now, catch up with our TSN Oilers reporter and Edmonton Bureau reporter. Here's Ryan Rishaug. What happened last night? What was going on out there, Ryan?
Yeah, by the way, before we get started, I need to know what picture you guys have up of me. Because the last time I appeared on this show, I got about 15 text messages from people saying, how old is that picture? Apparently it was like no wrinkles, full head of hair. Like I'm thinking like 2011 or even maybe even earlier.
Okay, let's see because Joe from the Bridge is in control of that. Like he really holds your whole reputation in his hands. He can bury you with a bad pick.
It could be worse. We could put up a picture of Strutty's hairline for you if you'd like to go down that route.
We could Photoshop Strutty's hairline
from the
on your
bridge.
face.
Put up something over Rishaug right now. So
he's my partner in crime. I don't know that I can let you guys chirp him here on OverDrive when he's not around to defend himself. I don't know if I'm okay with that, fellas.
Wow, we take him to the woodshed 3 times a week on this show. He knows it, though. That's why he enjoys coming on. We're not having him on anytime soon while the Leafs are struggling right now because he would be just yelling and screaming in a positive way. Although, like I say, we need to talk about the Oilers because they had themselves an off night last night.
Yeah, pretty crazy the way you can play a certain style of game in Game 2 and then come back with that effort in Game 3. And I understand there was a real differentiation there, special teams-wise. It was a 5-on-5 game last night. And, guys, 5-on-5, the Oilers haven't been that close in this series. This is 2 out of 3 games where the Oilers have not brought the right stuff to the second round of the playoffs. So I'm not sure what the concern level is. Connor McDavid was pretty confident after, but at even strength, Vegas worked them. They willed them. Better execution. The Oilers were a mess in some defensive coverage stuff, and without some power plays to inject that confidence, 5-on-5, they did get taken to the woodshed.
Rish, when do they start getting concerned about Jeff Skinner getting pulled like he is?
Stuart Skinner.
Yeah.
I call him Jeff Skinner.
I know you do. I know
call
you
him whatever you want. Oh, you've earned that.
Okay.
I think there's concern, guys. He's 888. He was 914 during the regular season, so he's 888. Not good enough. But here's the thing. I haven't seen a game yet where the Oilers showed up ready to rock and roll with their A game, and Skinner let them down.
Yeah.
I have yet to see that. His game has been kind of reflective of the team's game. And I know, like Noodles, sometimes a goalie needs to save one for you, right? Sometimes a goalie needs to show up and be more ready than the rest of the team was. I don't know that he's done that yet. but his play has been pretty reflective. The Oilers have not had a game where they were great and Skinner let them down, right? He also bounced back nicely in the first round after getting pulled. So I think they will start him, and I do think that is the right call, but 888 is still 888.
So they've never had the combo, Rish, where it's like, do you think they've thought about Campbell? Like, what is this guy to do have to do to say it's Campbell time now?
Yeah, there would be two spots where they would have even given it any thought. That would be after they pulled Skinner in round one and Campbell came on in relief, played really well. But I don't think it was much of a thought because it was still really early. I think probably more thought after this last game about what to do next game. So to answer your question, I would imagine those conversations were being had. I do think they'll still land on Skinner. He was by far their more consistent goaltender this year. There's a calmness about him. He's a good bounce-back goalie. He's learning lessons doing this for the first time. But to answer your question, those conversations probably happened last night and today. I still think they swing back towards Skinner, even though Woodcroft wouldn't commit today.
Yeah, I agree. I think even game one and last night, I don't think he was the problem, but you need a save when there is a breakdown. And for me, I don't know where you're at, but it seems like the lightning rod lands on a few defensemen, number 25 and number 22. Certainly had, number 25 and number 2, Bouchard. Yeah. Both had off nights last night. And, Nurse is a polarizing guy because of his salary, correct? But, it's more of a situation where when you're watching some of the coverage, and believe me, Draisaitl can wear it, McDavid, a lot of those guys, the forwards can wear it, but the D, there were some missteps last night where it was almost, Oak calls it the dog park defense, where it's just you're chasing the puck around, you're chasing guys around. Is that something you could tell the frustration of Woodcroft after the game last night? He said to a man he felt that everyone was not good enough.
Yeah, I think you can definitely circle a few defensemen. I'd probably add Cody Ceci to that list, to be honest with you. Yeah. Evan Bouchard has been fantastic in these playoffs. 14 points in 9 games, right? Yeah. The offense has just taken off since the trade deadline. He's been so good that I think you can tough look when you blow not just one but both tires at the same time and end up on your butt, right? It's just an unfortunate thing that happened. Gets beat to the net on another goal. He had a hard night last night, but I think you're okay kind of recognizing what he's done to this point and setting that performance aside as a one-off. Nurse and Ceci, I think there definitely needs to be an uptick in their consistency and their defending. They're out there to do one thing, and that's defend, and I think it's fair to say those two need to do a better job of that. But I saw some stuff from the forwards last night too, guys. Draisaitl on the goal that was called back. Look at the coverage there. The guy heading to the net, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, caught in no man's land in that critical moment at the end of the first period where he kind of over-back-checked, getting beat out of the corners. There was some tough stuff from forwards and D alike last night. Uncharacteristic. Remember, guys, they were the best team in the NHL for the last couple of months, and they had really cut down their goals against. So they had done a good job. This is uncharacteristic of them. 10 goals here in the 2 losses.
With Ryan Rishaug coming off a Vegas big win over Edmonton in Game 3 last night. And a big driver of that production for the Golden Knights was Jack Eichel, who is experiencing the playoffs for the first time in his career. And, was good in the previous round, but they steamrolled Winnipeg. And now they got Edmonton. Now it's, McDavid, Draisaitl. He's been watching what those two have been doing their whole careers. And he's been linked to McDavid because of the draft, but not based on performance. Yet I thought he was phenomenal last night. He basically closed the game out with his goal. What have you seen out of him through 3 games, and how big of an impact could he have the rest of the series?
Yeah, I love how you point out he's doing it for the first time, right? That's the relevant piece of information here with Jack Eichel, because it feels like he's been around for a long time, and he has 476 regular season games. But to still, for the first time to go out and be feeling the weight of these moments in these playoff games and the pressures and such. He's an older player at 26 years old to be going through this for the first time. But I like it. I think he's really elevated. He's finding ways to he's such a great skater. He's just such a smooth stride and skate with his head up and make plays with his head up. I think he's giving the Oilers defensemen some fits with that speed. He can be pretty deceptive at times. I think he's been really good. And I think with Stone banged up, they need guys to be stepping in and giving them big moments. And Eichel, they expect that from him, right? He makes a lot of money. That's who he's supposed to be. But I do think it's saying something when you're doing it in your first playoff. It doesn't always go that way for guys.
So what would you expect out of the Oilers for Game 4?
McDavid in his availability after, he figures they're going to bring their best game. He doesn't say that kind of thing very often. I think they're a good bounce-back team. If you look back earlier in these playoffs, if you look back to in the first few rounds of last year, anytime they were cornered, they really brought the thunder. Now, didn't happen in the Colorado series the way they would have liked. Let's set that aside. But this is a team that last night was a big game, but they weren't cornered. And so it was disappointing for them not to have a better performance in an important game. This goes beyond an important game. And I think this group has shown when they get themselves in this situation, they can really bring it. I would expect a similar effort to what we saw in Game 2. I was surprised by what I saw last night and how bad it was. I'll be more surprised if we're talking about another poor effort.
Two things quickly before we let you go. Do you think Hyman plays because it didn't look good for him last night as far as him, gutting it out? It looked like he was in considerable pain trying to at least even skate up and down the ice.
Yeah, so he wasn't on the ice today. I think the fact that he kept taking shifts pretty late into the game tells me, in a game that was essentially a blowout, it tells me that he's hurt and not injured. I think if you're injured, there's no way the training staff lets you keep going in a 4-goal game like that. I just think you get shut down. So I think that's a good sign. He wasn't on the ice today. Jay Woodcroft was non-committal. It's playoff time. My guess is he's banged up here. Maybe needs to get fixed up a little bit and get in, but I think he'll play.
And then the last thing is Evander Kane. Very unpredictable. In a positive way and a negative way. Took a bad penalty right at the end of the first there, the cross-check on Pietrangelo. But, that's a guy that brings in the kind of an element that not most of the teams in the National Hockey League have as a top-line player who is, unpredictable, we'll call it.
Yeah, I mean, that was a tough one. The whole world was looking at him. Everybody else was just letting the clock run out, and he's still playing like it's full speed, and runs into a guy, with his stick up and hits him in the face. Like, it was not a smart penalty. This is the thing. He plays on the edge. You love the intention and the intensity. The previous game, you love that. He's out there making stuff happen, standing up for his teammates, getting in the other team's kitchen, going viral with his post-game comments, the meme. We all saw it, right? Well, there's Evander Kane on the right side of the line. Then what we saw there was Evander Kane on the wrong side of the line. And I guess the question is, are you okay living with that bad every now and then because he brings that good? Because I don't think you can have it both ways. That's going to happen sometimes with players like that. It's who he is and the way he plays his game.
Always great catching up with you, Ryan. We appreciate you doing this, buddy, and enjoy Game 4 and the rest of the ride out there, and I'm sure we'll do it again soon.
Sounds good. You guys have a fun next few days, hey?
Oh, we will. Yes. This is nothing. We've been down this road many times.
So have I, man. So have I.
It's all good. It's all good, Ryan. You know that. Thank you, buddy.
See you guys.
Ryan Rishaug of TSN out in Edmonton. Didn't have a photo up because, we want to make sure we get a great photo of Rishaug. Got to make sure that we update the photos. So we will make sure to do that.
He had to throw in that last little part, didn't he?
Yeah, have fun.
Have fun in your neck of the woods.
Right.
Thank you, Ryan.
The whole country. This is why the Leafs are the definition of a polarizing team. If you love them or you hate them, either way, everyone's watching tomorrow night. Right? Everyone wants to see what happens. And everyone wants to see what the aftermath is going to be if they lose, and what Shanahan and Dubas and Keefe and everyone is going to say.
It'd be like a car wreck on the 400.
Yeah.
People just have to stop and have a little
rubberneck.
peek.
Got to see it. Got to see it.
See it.
So, there's been some news in the NHL. Really tough news. Gabriel Landeskog, he's going to miss all of next year. He's having, cartilage replacement in his knee. I can't imagine he ever plays again. I hope that's not the case, for his sake, but he's already missed a full year. He's going to miss next year. He's 30. I think Mark Mathot said he had the same surgery. He said he could never get his knee even close.
No, you would think somebody would pull him aside and say, the idea of you playing again is probably not that smart.
Right. Yes. But he got a cup, right? Captained a cup team before, the knee was repaired, and then the knee
Right.
ended up in the position it was in. He's had a great career, holding out hope, obviously, if you're in Colorado, but that's a big hit. That's their captain. It's a great player, and he's already missed all this year, and he's going to miss next.
Yeah.
Chris Pronger in about 20 minutes. Jays, Phillies tonight down in Philly. Vladdy's in the lineup. Alec Manoah on the mound. We'll get to that. We got a couple of games in the NBA, including looking back at what happened last night. The Lakers, they took one off Golden State. They're up 3-1. And Mike Greenberg of ESPN with a take of all takes for what he believes the Lakers should consider doing in Game 5. We'll tell you about that as well. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on the TSN app. All right, so the Lakers had themselves a night last night. You know, it was a great game, close game. Warriors, leading at the half and got off to the third quarter in style. And Lakers just kept chipping away.
Yeah.
They won by 3. They covered the number last night, too. I like the Warriors plus 2.5. End up winning 104-101. And now the Lakers are up 3-1. And Mike Greenberg of ESPN today, he's getting torched for this take. But I credit him for having a take, right? Everyone's got to have an opinion. And he has an opinion that the Lakers should rest LeBron for Game 5.
Ooh.
Now that
Why
you're up 3-1.
would you ever want to give Steph Curry and those boys life?
Exactly. It's a crazy take. It is a brainy, galaxy brain type take. But I also think what it is, it's a nature of the NBA, like seeping into the mentality of people that cover the sport. Greeny covers the sport very closely. It almost isn't far-fetched because that's the way the NBA operates.
But what about win this series and then you get 7 days rest?
Exactly.
Like,
That is the counter that makes a lot of sense. Close in
Exactly.
5 and let Denver and Phoenix go back and forth all the way to 7, and you can sit there for 10 days and don't worry about anything.
Yep.
That's the clear
Did
cut
anyone
counter.
bring that to Greeny's attention?
I didn't see it live. I only saw his take. I would assume that probably came up. How about you close in 5, and then you don't have to worry about LeBron.
That's
but
just
I also
a
can't imagine LeBron.
2023 on steroids take.
Yeah,
Like to
that's what
think
it
that,
is.
Yeah, it's so outrageous. It's like for someone to even contemplate that, like the idea of burying your opponent and ending it to get rest. No, let's rest on the next game. I think it's an insane comment.
Well,
It is, but it's the NBA, and I wouldn't even be shocked if the NBA had load management in the playoffs at some point. If you're up 3-0 on a series, 1 versus 8 seed, yeah, we'll sit this guy. Little load management, get the job done.
Dude, the load management, it's got to
Crazy.
stop. Their whole brand, it's becoming guys making $35, $50 million a year, and they're whining and crying about playing 80 games a year. Then just play 60 then. Because
take it
the
down.
idea of everyone saying, no, that's crazy, you're not playing back-to-back. Like, the players have basically told the league, we're not playing back-to-back, so don't even think about it.
That's probably what is next, though, is if you go into a CBA, you negotiate that scheduling, no back-to-backs. Like, work out how you want us to play, but if you want a better product, I would love to see it. I know you can't do it because of the amount of games and that, but how many times have we seen, back-to-back, team waiting for it? I'm talking hockey. The product does struggle a little bit on the back-to-back
game, though,
situation.
Jamie.
I
Once
get
you
it.
say, you know what, okay, fine, never
I
back-to-backs, you're just going to sit back and wait for something else.
I
We don't
understand.
want to do this or we don't want to do that.
But-
if you cave into that, you're opening up a door, man. I'm telling you.
I understand that because you're always it comes back to Brian with your instant replay. The minute you have it, it's like, where does it stop?
Yep, Pandora's box.
and
Once
now,
you open that door up.
But that's what we're talking about. We're talking about, load management. Now maybe it creeps into the playoffs and it is accepted. When was that earlier in the year where they're like, God, that's TV's fault for booking back
Yeah,
to
that was
back.
Jokic Embiid, I think, or Jokic versus Giannis. One of the
Giannis.
two.
And they were like, what do you want us to do? Play the guy back to back? Like they were
You
acting
guys
like
screwed us here.
like
TV
they got
screwed us.
screwed. Yeah, that's what we're dealing with now.
It's always playing the victim on that, right?
Right.
It's always, well, what do you want us to do? I mean, you couldn't possibly expect we'd play.
Exactly.
It actually really is wild that that
Yeah.
is a legit explanation from the coach on behalf of the player.
Right.
What are you nuts? This guy can't play. Yes,
Yeah.
he's 100% healthy, but he can't play. Why
Yeah.
not? Well, he was on a plane within 24 hours.
Right.
Oh,
right.
okay. That's totally reasonable. Sorry for asking. I'm a dummy. How could I ever suggest that the guy might actually play for $50 million a year? And the money's whatever, right? It's always a percentage. The owners are making money too. Like, that keeps coming up. But with the dollar amounts going up and up and up, it makes it even more ridiculous, the idea that these guys are actually driving away from more work.
Dude, they've gotten to a point where it's like, don't even think about me playing that back-to-back. Like,
I'm not doing
it. It's offensive.
Like, the next step in the NBA is them being like, I'm not playing certain days. Like, Christmas, I'm not playing that day. You know what I mean? Like, that's a me day. That's a I don't want to play that day.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Tuesdays are not a good day for me.
No.
You know, that would be wild. Put me down for Tuesday load management in perpetuity.
Yeah.
I'm never playing on a Tuesday. I don't like Tuesdays, and I won't do it. All right, Chris Marner coming up in the next hour. Confirm or deny at 5:30. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 4.